When are you not disappointed in your community? I'm exceptionally disappointed right now. I'm not joking. More so than the Canadian Liberal bit, if you can believe that. And I'm being serious, you know? I gotta say, it is incredibly embarrassing um, being, bar none, the most controversial online left-leaning content creator. I mean, it's not even close. I think we've well surpassed Contra with this latest drama. Clearly, you know, I mean, we get news articles written about our shenanigans now, easily, and have community which will hand-wring over the mildest. I mean, seriously, women should shut up. That's the thing that send you guys into an apoplectic fit of, oh, what about the optics, you know? Like, it's not even as edgy as a Chapo bit. Like, can you just imagine, like, Felix from Chapo reading over, like, a J.K. Rowling tweet and going, yeah, looking at this has just convinced me that actually all women are stupid. Cis women, trans women, I don't care, you know. Like, Chapo would go that. Do you think their community would hand-wring over this? Not even close. They wouldn't care. They wouldn't even pay any attention. And if J.K. Rowling, for some reason, you know, clipped that and then like bitched about it, do you think the Chapo community would embolden her crybullying by supporting her and overstating the harm of that joke? No. If you guys care about optics so much, then what you need to realize is that the most optically effective thing you guys could have done in that situation was to laugh at Rowling for being a triggered liberal. You realize the majority of her support is from conservatives, right? All you do by pearl clutching and going, oh, well, this sexism is a bad way of providing our opinion, is seed ground to them. It would be like during Gamergate, like every time Anita Sarkeesian came out with a point that wasn't like great, you'd be like, you know, oh, well, that wasn't a great point from Anita Sarkeesian, and I don't know right now. Like while she's getting death threats, you know? If you actually care about optics, you would understand that you fall behind the better side. Can you imagine what the left would be like if every time someone like J.K. Rowling, who goes out of her way to misrepresent her opposition and screenshot and crybully over it, we like wrung our hands and, you know, oh, well, that wasn't a good look. There are billions of people in the world. She's always going to find stuff like that. You want to do this every time? You'll never win. All you do is make her look better because you're ceding to her the ground that she has a legitimate concern with what I said. I don't think she does. Folks, I don't think the billionaire writer has any legitimate ground to be upset with anything that I tweeted or will tweet in the future. And all you're doing is contributing to the impression that some faux pas was committed. But the normies don't get that. You don't get that. You think you're enlightened. You morons aren't smart enough to understand how optics work, so you scrape off the barest veneer of understanding from the things that I say. If you cared about optics, you would understand that the best thing you could possibly do to support trans people is fall behind edgy criticisms of J.K. Rowling and mock her for crybullying while dismissing the hyperbolic criticisms and denunciations of problematic language used against her. This is not... My joke was like 4 out of 10 edgy. Are you kidding me? The online left does shit like this nonstop. ContraPoints has edgier jokes in her videos. If J.K. Rowling had clipped one of those and complained about it, would you have gone, oh, well, I think this joke that Contra made where she said that the essence of femininity was being quiet and smiling when people make bad jokes, I think that was actually internalized misogyny. No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. You fucking cowards. The mildest shit. You don't care about optics. You're just crybabies, okay? You're crybabies. And I hate it when you confuse the two. There are people going, oh, Vaush has failed to consider optics. He doesn't care about optics. I'm the only one who cares about optics here. You people are just embarrassing. That's the problem. Okay? No normies are being moved over by J.K. Rowling screenshotting me being mildly misogynistic as a joke. Folks, the people who agree with J.K. Rowling are conservatives overwhelmingly. All of the existing information we have on who opposes trans rights points in that direction. The idea that J.K. Rowling is swaying these hordes of normies when even the cast of Harry Potter movies aren't inviting her to like reunions and stuff is just not true. The media has taken a side against her. It's the conservatives who side with her. And conservatives, A, don't care about sexism, obviously, and B, to a conservative, you being trans is worse optically than me being sexist, okay? Far worse. If you care about optics, then sorry, buddy, all right? If you're trans and don't pass perfectly, then you better have a cartoon Avi, because otherwise your image, your appearance is worse optics than anything I can say. They don't care about arguments, logic, or morals. They care about degeneracy. And you all, by you all, I mean trans people, in the mind of a conservative, are degenerates, which is far worse to a conservative than being mildly misogynistic. So if you're so concerned about optics, then stay in the closet. Obviously, that's not the solution we take, because obviously we're not stupid enough to argue that the cry-bullying of conservatives should be the metric by which we determine what modes of behavior are acceptable, and it is ridiculous that a person of my status and stature should be denigrated by his own community, faking an understanding of optics, cry-bullying and hand-wringing over, I can't believe it was this. Women shut up. That's really what got you. My community. I have news articles which get viewed by hundreds of thousands or millions of people calling me a pedophile. And my community bitches and moans about women shut up. I don't care. I'll ban all of you. I will burn this community to the ground before I cede a single inch of ground to you people, all right? Unsubscribe. You will rue the day. I will be 10 times as misogynistic, 20 times, and it will be optically effective. 30 times. There were people in my community comparing what I said to saying the N-word with the hard R. I can't believe you people. You think you know about optics. Optics, honestly. None of you have any fucking idea. You have no clue. No, you think that's a joke? There are people in chat right now. What's the difference between saying women shut up and being, like, ironically racist? I don't know. Maybe the difference is that one of those things happens all the time in the online left and nobody gives a shit, and one of them doesn't and people do. I don't know. Think about it for like 10 seconds. Can you provide me a logical proof for why what you're doing is any different from the Holocaust? Shut up. I don't care. And what you're doing, by the way, and you're in chat, Sebagdi, you're correct. What you're doing is apologia for Rowling by overstating the optical concerns over an incredibly milquetoast sexist comment. What you're doing is giving her argument its weight. You're supporting her position that what I said was bad enough to warrant the denunciation she offered. Folks, it wasn't. I could say far worse stuff to and about Rowling, and it wouldn't be. And I know this because you all have stood with me in supporting people on the left saying problematic stuff for a good cause. You've done this before, haven't you? How many trans people have we seen on Twitter say pretty problematic stuff while making a good point or attacking the right people? Huh? Lilith Lovett can say. If you saw a trans person on Twitter make a misogynistic comment while, like, attacking some turfy politician, Tulsi Gabbard type, would you be denouncing them? I just want to know. I want to know how committed you are to optics, since you're all so concerned about it. Your pearls need to be clutched. You see some trans shit poster, like, oh, she responds to Tulsi Gabbard, Tulsi, you're a dumb bitch. If you think so little of women, maybe you should shut up. I've seen people make comments like that to people like Lauren Southern, who have a traditionalist attitude towards women. And they quote tweet. Imagine if they quote tweet. Look at this sexism. Look at how people on the left attack anyone. Imagine if imagine if people on the right caught me calling a black conservative an Uncle Tom and used it to pearl clutch over how the left is actually racist. Can you imagine if something like that had happened? And say, for example, news articles were published about it? You remember back in late 2020? Now, back then, you people had the good sense to support me. Now, of course, there was, oh, you could have phrased that better, but there wasn't this massive outpouring of behavior in my community saying, Vaush mishandled this so terribly. He doesn't care about optics anymore. He's forgotten. If you need to understand this, okay? Hold on. The issue isn't optics to outsiders, it's influence on insiders. We always jump back and forth, isn't it? The Mott and Bailey, right? Oh, it's not about the sexism, but it's about the optics. Oh, it's not about the optics, it's about the sexism. I don't care about either. Shut up. I'm right on both. You can jump back and forth all you want. I've already won both points. You're hopping back and forth between two hills upon which I have built sturdy foundations, okay? On the optics grounds, the best optical thing you can do is support the shitposting and mock her for being a crybaby. Call her a triggered bitch. Call her a liberal. Tell her that her tears are delicious. I don't care. Performative cruelty is fantastic when directed against bigots with billions of dollars. Why the fuck would I care? You hand-wringing pussies are unironically an embarrassment. I can't believe that you would cede that ground over something as mild as a woman shut up comment. You're embarrassing, okay? Fuck. I can't believe I've somehow managed to have the biggest libby pussy bullshit community in the universe, while also being the most controversial figure in the entire online left. I have no idea how I managed this in Herculean feat. Clearly, I haven't bled enough of you out of this community, or I've given you a false impression that you understand how optics work, but you don't. You confuse what's optically good with what the right tells you is optically good. But that's not a battle you're ever going to win, guys, because to them, optic goodness or optical goodness, looking good, is conforming to hegemonic normality and abandoning degeneracy. You're not going to be able to win that battle, all right? People get called pedophiles on Twitter for defending the right for trans children to take hormone blockers, okay? Do you think this is a crowd you're going to win favor with? Do you think, oh, hither me the optics of giving ammunition to the people's criticisms. Their criticism is that you exist, okay? And as long as you haven't killed yourself, you're giving them ammunition, all right? You're not going to win this. And this is civility politics, by the way, okay? Deeply embarrassing. Deeply, deeply embarrassing. And on the sexism front, oh, it's sexism. I don't care. Literally just fuck off. I genuinely don't care. Listen, okay? Here's my threshold, okay? If I say something which I see repeated in sentiment or explicitly, like 40,000 times a day, broadly in the left community, and nobody gives a shit, with, the term stuff, trans, inclusionary, radical misogyny, that type of stuff, which I see all the time. People still think it's funny, whatever, I think it's a bit overplayed at this point, but I see it all the time. If I see stuff like that, and nobody cares, and then I, Vaush, make a comment vaguely in line with that, and people in my community start hand-wringing, I'd rather just permaban you guys. I can't keep doing this battle, folks. I need to focus on the right enemies. Every time I do anything... God, it's a quote tweet from J.K. Rowling. You people can't focus on the higher priority here? There are people in my community talking about how I mishandled the drama. What drama? I tweeted something. It's not like I was talking to Rowling. I wasn't on a talk show with her. You guys realize that the optics for a direct, engaged conversation are different than the optics of just talking generally. You realize that J.K. Rowling, if she wanted to, could find something her audience would find equally objectionable in the media of almost any person on the left. I'm pretty sure that J.K. Rowling could look through a fucking Big Joel or Cody Johnson video and find a section of it that she considers as misogynistic as what I said. She complained that trans supporters were doxing her because they took photos of them holding up pro-trans signs outside of her house when she lives in a castle, and that location has news articles about it. It's not a secret house. It's a very publicly known manor in a public place, like near commercial areas. Oh, you've made it difficult. The normies will look at this and think, no, they won't. You know what the normies are going to think? The normies are going to think, oh, wow, J.K. Rowling really is quadrupling down on the trans stuff, isn't she? That's what the normies think. All available information indicates that public opinion has turned massively against her. The more time J.K. Rowling spends on this, the more time she rambles in this direction, goes in this diatribe, the better things are for us optically, because it reveals the depths of her delusional obsession. You're so gullible. God. I can't believe after 3 years of doing this, there are people in my community who think optics is don't do the thing the conservatives will say you're bad for doing. I'll end on this. I'm very frustrated with you people. I'll end on this, okay? If you want a good, your definition of a good optics, here's my good optics, okay? My good optics, all right, is that I'll go on a platform like Tim Pool, where his chat of like 200,000 people are spam messaging that I'm a pedophile, and I will crush Charlie Kirk in a debate because I'm very good at phrasing arguments in a way that it's virtually impossible to argue against them, okay? My optics are that when I'm given the platform, the formula for an argument, I'll win, all right? And I'll phrase them in ways that they can't respond to. That's my optics. If your optics are don't do things that give conservatives ammunition, why the fuck do you watch me? Google my name. Google my name on an incog window. Scroll down to the bottom of the first page. What do you see? You think I'm the person to muck this field up with? Oh, you're giving the right ammunition. Find someone else to be a fan of, okay? Come on. Like, Jesus, of all the people. Anyway. You failing to acknowledge the harm you're doing? We can just permaban. Mods, I give you full permission. We can just permaban all the, what would you call them? Cry bullies? The pearl clutchers? Imagine, anytime I do something a little edgy, I'm a very serious person with serious political opinions, and I just think you're doing so much harm by making the 800 trillion thousandth edgy joke on your platform. Yeah. I know. Yeah. Okay. Shh. All right. I don't watch for ironic misogyny. I watch for good takes in other areas. Watch from a place other than my chat. Shh. It's okay. Be free. Be free. Go forth. Watch somewhere else. Ironic misogyny. God. Women, shut up. Ugh. How transgressive. Like, I don't say edgier shit than that. I brought on pro-black activists to tell them how their form of pro-black advocacy is actually anti-white racism. You think I give a single shit what you find offensive, you fucking pearl clutchers? Jesus fucking Christ. Jesus, do you have any idea? Okay, there is no ground I will not tread, my friends. Okay, listen. Okay, the bounds of my willingness to give you opportunities to clutch your curls. Oh, I got 5 hours of sleep. Oh, clutch your pearls is endless. All right, it's like the Elden Ring map. Okay, it never ends. Merrick wants to talk for 5 minutes. Merrick, I love you, but I worry that you want to talk about the wrong stuff. You've been talking lately about ironic misogyny and misogyny in general on the left lately. One of the arguments that I've made is that, while that is something that you can talk about, doing so in the context of a very, very large publicity boost, which stems from a conservative cry-bullying and overstating the harm of that issue specifically, is a bad time to do it, all in its proper time and place. If people in my community only wanted to, the broadly making fun of the ironic misogyny, that's fine. I've never banned for that, at least not generally. But the point is that in the context of the events which have taken place, it's a kind of misdirection which aids the opposition. So by bringing you on to talk about this, even if this isn't what you intend, you would be doing the same thing by implication, which would, be a disfavorable. My argument's more about J.K. Rowling than misogyny. Oh, never mind then. Send me a DM. Folks, we've got plenty of segments to get to, but let's not, let's roll through it first. Vaush's ego is out of control. Listen, okay? If I ever missed, once in my life, if I ever missed Here's the thing that I've noted, by the way, and it's that people are going to call you, and by you I mean me, I'm talking about me. People are going to call me an egotist no matter what I do, no matter how right I am, on every single issue that I defend. When I defended my opposition to black separatism and black ethno states, people call me an egotist who can't accept when he's, wrong. You guys called me an egotist for having serious concerns about the Emergencies Act in Canada, and look who ended up being right on that one, huh? I'm going to get called an egotistical monster no matter how objectively right the arguments I'm making are. So why the fuck, like, this is not an effective avenue for criticizing me. Yeah, I completely agree, Vermin. It just seems like a issue with mispriorities. Not being more misogynistic is bad optics. True. Listen, guys, I'll be real with you, okay? My tweet wasn't even funny. The point here isn't defending the ironic misogyny. It's the idea of exaggerating the harm of the tweet in a way which benefits Rowling and her crowd's pro-clutching. That's the point. It's not about defending the inherent, All right. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Of course I can hear you. What's up?
Okay, good. So I guess my point is something that I would like for you to consider is we in your community, we know that you're joking, and I don't really think that it actually matters what the subject of your joke is. Like, for example, I know you thought I was going to be like, oh, there's so much ironic misogyny in the left, but I understand that you're joking. I think your community understands you're joking. I think the problem here is that at your size and at the level to which people are completely fucking deranged about you, when you do things or when you say things that can be used to, I guess, paint you as sort of like the bad guy or the asshole, you sort of cut off avenues for growth for yourself. So, like, I don't think that you did some, like, horrible, stupid, awful thing. I think you just, like, made the sort of joke that you would always make. I guess something I would want you to think about is that you're not just a regular person, right? Like, you're not like the guys from Chapo, because the guys from Chapo are, I think, significantly worse than you, but people are not nearly as irrational in their hatred for the Chapo guys that they are for you. So I guess the thing that I saw when you did this was you made this joke, and it wasn't even just TERFs. It wasn't even just TERFs or radfems that got really, really upset about it. It was like all of these people that I typically would consider to be really cool, who used the opportunity, I think, to take shots at you, because
If they
I
were
do
cool,
think
they
that a
wouldn't
lot
take
of
shots at
people.
me.
Well, this is something that we're always discovering, right? That we think people are really cool, and then we see that they're deranged about some person who is
This isn't
like
going to
you near
change.
STL. I know that.
I have
But
long labored under the delusion that there's anything I can do at this point to sway people over to the idea that I'm not a psychotic, transphobic, racist, fascist pedophile. It's never going to happen. Again, you're free to Google my name on Incog and scroll through 3 pages. That is never going to be undone. I would rather accept my fate as an unhinged shitposter than labor fruitlessly towards some kind of optically acceptable, because at this point, even stuff that I say that's objectively correct gets me in trouble. People were I went viral on Twitter with 250,000 views on a Glenn Greenwald tweet, because I predicted Russia's invasion of Ukraine and said we should sanction them in response. I simply do not care, and I don't think anyone cares about this either. Honest to God, nobody cares about women. People care about me. Misogyny, honestly, is, considering the fact most of my hate comes from conservatives anyway, like, they're probably, a lot of them just quietly thinking it's kind of based of me to not, like, cede to the woke mob. It might actually be better for my optics to lean into that further. Not that I should, ethically, but, yeah, I just, because there are sometimes, I see this in my community too, people are like, well, now normies are going to think negatively of Vaush. Okay. All they have to do is Google me, and they'll be given every possible reason to think that I'm a bad person. I just don't care. Why care? It only exhausts my time and energy.
I guess. I mean, I guess it just feels like if you lean into things like this, you continue to cut off potential audience for yourself. You potentially close future doors. You potentially
Do you really
remove
think that
future
this
opportunity.
compared to the pedophile accusations? I mean,
No, but I think the pedophile accusations, you have enough people that are willing to be like, listen, there's actual context for these clips. This shit is not real. I think that J.K. Rowling is someone who she's very effective at weaponizing trauma and making people feel bad for her. I think
mm,
the people that call you a pedophile, like, it's like bad empanada. Like,
there
that's
are
the
news
person out here calling
articles.
you a
No, no, no.
pedophile.
There are news articles about it. If you go in literally any space online that isn't controlled by me, that's one of the number one things people say. I'm sorry. I think that you're in a bubble, Merrick. You're in a bubble of people on the left who are reasonable, who mostly don't despise me, but who hand wrung over this. So you, in your head, you think, well, this is the step too far. Like, well, this got these people upset. The people who are now upset with me over this, who weren't upset with me before, I don't give two shits about them. They can eat my ass for all I care. I'm right, and they're pearl clutching over something that's 100,000th as edgy as many of the jokes I've made before. If it's some optical consideration thing, my optics are unsalvageable. But there is an optical consistency in being a shit poster, in being the edgy, say whatever, get mad, die mad type guy. But I can't do that as long as people in my community are desperately trying to pull me. It's like people in my community think I'm going to run for office or something, like, no, sometimes the best way to go is to take a Chapo route, make the good argument. Well, they don't make good arguments, but
Sure.
for my case, make good arguments, but if people are mad, they can stay mad, it'd be like if, I don't know, like, imagine if I made a joke about Ben Shapiro wanting to fuck his sister, and then he like screenshotted that and said that it's really inappropriate to speculate about the sexual and romantic history of public figures, which is true in a vacuum. And then people in my community were like, oh, Ben Shapiro's right here. It's really bad optics for Vaush to, like, where does it end? Like, kill me. I would rather die than subject myself to this level of stupid, pointless scrutiny, just for the benefit of people in my community who think they're better than me anyway, which they're not. I can ban them. They can't ban me. The power I have.
I guess I just have more faith in people than you do. I guess I just think that like you're not necessarily unsalvageable. Like I don't know, I've seen your channel grow a lot, and I've seen a lot of people come to realize that like you're not actually some like horrible racist like
Who, though?
pedophile monster. I don't know. Like I've definitely had people DM me and be like, "Oh, I used to think this. I used to like just listen to stuff on Twitter, and then I realized that he's not like that. You're not like that. SDL's not like that. That sort of thing." I don't know. Maybe I'm just being naive, but I guess I
And
want to
and if
believe
they're
that.
upset over this, the sexism thing, just tell them they're being retarded and that they should enjoy my content anyway. Like, what they're gonna make condemnations of me for like a tweet that, what level of edgy does this line up with? It's not even Chapo tier. It's like, I'm trying to think again. I literally think Contra has jokes that edgy. I'm trying to remember Contra's videos, and I'm pretty sure she makes more ironically deprecating comments about women and femininity, like ones that are quite a bit more incisive than that. Like, I feel like this is sixth grader stuff compared to the shit people get mad at me over. I just but the issue, these people, Merrick, it's infuriating. Listen, I
Oh, I
sympathize
know.
with you, but it's these people who think they understand optics. Okay, they have no idea what the world looks like from the position of a person who wakes up every single day, and it's like, all right, do we have hundreds or thousands of death threats to look through? All right, let's comb through. What are the business emails? In an environment like that, impossible to care about women shut up tweets. Impossible to me. It's unimaginable for me to perceive that.
I think this is one of like the less offensive things that you've actually said. I guess it's just because it is J.K. Rowling and because she is such a fucking crybaby. I don't know. It just I think that like a lot of people were kind of like, well, like saying this sort of thing to her as you just sort of gives
But I
gives
didn't.
her ammunition to fence sitters. And no, I know. She went out and found it. I don't know if she name searches or if
She
someone
name
sent it to
searches.
her or what. But yeah, I mean, it just feels like you're not unsalvageable. To
Doesn't it
me, you're
doesn't it
not
kind of doesn't it
unsalvageable.
feel like one of the biggest things holding people back from joining the left is the idea that they have to be this kind of like moral arbiter pussy? And like my community is kind of reaffirming that by telling me, somewhat of my size and my reputation, that I have to like
People,
deeply consider the optics. Huh?
for some people, yeah, I think some people are definitely very put off by how like carceral we can be about language. Like when I
I
saw
mean,
your tweet, I wasn't like, "Oh my god," but I was like, "Oh no, a bunch of people are going to be like, "Oh my god."
like who cares? Just go like, Lamau, like haha, she's triggered. Cry bully bitch. Beta, what a cunt. Like, I don't know. Just it's no big. It's leaning into that is optically beneficial compared to like contributing to the hand wringing. As somebody who spends a lot of time in conservative spaces, I can tell you this much, okay? Conservatives don't mock the left when a person on the left says something problematic and their whole community like cheers and hoots and hollers for it, okay? People on the right mock people on the left when they are forced into apologizing because their communities are more sensitive than that person expected. Fuck, I mock people like that. Think of all the people on like the online left who are sort of cajoled into apologizing. Like, I'm just reminded of Thought Slime doing a whole video because he said somebody was bananas or whatever.
Nanners.
Nanners or right. Well, that's how this feels to me. Is that not ableist to impugn a person for their perceived mental cognition? Of course it is.
Well,
Obviously
yeah,
it
but
is.
it's funny.
Well, you'll never guess what I find funny, Merrick. It's you know, uh,
I
look,
know.
look again. It's just a matter of like what avenue you want to take, and there are so many people in my community who I feel like they're under the impression that there are two things which are mutually exclusive, and it's one of them is like good arguments, logical, rational, honest, and the other
Mhm.
one is like irreverent shit posting, and they think you can't do both, and I think that's wrong. An example of a person who does both is Keffels, who shitposts constantly, way edgier stuff than I do, and is currently doing this big advocacy run for trans youth and raised like $60,000 for them or something. They're not mutually exclusive. You can do both, but you have to forgo some considerations in either direction if you decide to pursue one, predominantly. And with the shitposting thing, man, with my reputation, like, have you seen me talk to conservatives when they come on here or whatever? Like, imagine me trying to hand wring like every time they throw out like language against me. Like
Mean.
you
Yeah.
pedophile. It's like, well, hey, what do you mean by that? It's like, no, we'll do blood sports. Call them a retard. Make fun of them. Like, what, people going to look at that and they're going to get upset? I mean, sure, but the people who don't get upset, who find it funny, who aren't bothered, they can be in my audience.
Sure. I don't know. You do have good points. I guess I just felt like I think that you are such a better person than you get portrayed. So I saw all these people who are not connected to leftism or online politics that were suddenly very, very, very upset about you. I guess that's where my feeling or my concern about this came from because I don't think that it's right the way that you get portrayed. And
I know that.
I don't know. Perhaps the answer is not you toning down the shit posting. I think I just worry. I just worry. I think you deserve better, and I worry. That's all. And maybe I'm being naive, and maybe I am just
If you
worrying
worry
too
for my
much.
sake, if you worry for my sake, then I promise you, for my mental well-being, the best possible thing my community could do is stop cry bullying and stop whining when I say something remotely problematic, because I will never stop and I will only worsen over time despite them. If we're just talking about my mental health, that's the best thing they can do. I don't care about the detraction from outside, being called sexist from people. Honestly, I get called worse all the time. I care about looking at the festering shit pit of retards in my subreddit who are hand wringing over, God almighty, women shut up. I swear to God, I feel like I'm being tattletaled on by a 6th grade classmate.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess you're right.
No, it's your concerns are valid and I love you. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on. I'll talk to you later.
Take care.
Bye.